Hello, ANSHU-Sharma here. My love to you and I welcome you. Today's topic is dealing issues of loyalty, trust and betrayal. Tribe, personal loyalty, betrayal and abandonment. In order to physically survive, we learned tribal loyalty. When we were cave dwellers, that strong sense of loyalty still remains in us as an instinct. Instinctively, we become loyal to our group members. These groups can include our biological and extended family, close circle of friends, people from similar ethnic, racial, color, or national background. So we naturally feel drawn to them, even if we do not know them personally or love them. We feel a natural sense of a common bond. Sometimes we stand by them out of loyalty, even if they are in the wrong. Let us see some examples where tribe loyalty replaces the truth in a situation. For example, someone accuses her friend and stands by their sister or sibling in spite of knowing fully that sister is the one or sibling is the one who is lying and her friend is the one who is speaking the truth. But people choose to stay and be loyal to their siblings and blame the other party. The other party may be their friend who may be actually in the right. In another situation, a man stands by his mother and against his wife with the full knowledge that his mother is the one who has been stealing her gems or jewels. So he knows, but he still takes side of his mother over his wife. In another situation, a mother stands by her son in full knowledge and against his wife in full knowledge that her son is the one who has been abusive towards her. So out of group loyalty, many parents do not allow their children to move out of their family homes or explore life in a manner the children want. Sometimes when children move out and they wish to follow their own dreams, say not in getting involved in the family business, they face family abandonment, anger or hostility. So these are the situations when people blindly believe what their group is believing and we take side. We become loyal to them. Our group expects us to act in a particular manner and merely out of loyalty towards its member. But as we grow, our personal needs begin to shift and they begin to surface. And if we are sufficiently empowered, we start to show loyalty towards ourselves. Sometimes we cannot show loyalty when we are unable to fend for ourselves. We are sharing the same roof and we are dependent on our group to provide us the basics of food, shelter and clothing. But when we are sufficiently empowered, we are standing on their own then we start to show loyalty towards ourselves. And sometimes this loyalty towards yourself may come under conflict with loyalty towards family or tribe. This tribe can include members of your biological family, your social or religious circle, or your friends or work colleagues. So when such conflicting situations arise in our life, it takes us into victim consciousness. And in victim consciousness, we switch roles as victim or perpetrator. And we create and recreate scary realities that we can blame it on others. Sometimes the conflict escalates and we are required to move away, or we voluntarily move away from our families. We continue to feel suffocated because of the mental and emotional turmoil. Out of blind attachment to our tribes, we remain bonded energetically to them. As victims, we continue to lose energies from our chakras, which are the energy centers. And if it continues to happen over a long time, then we invite diseases. But if we are conscious, we can take required steps to deal with group betrayals, rejection and abandonment issues. Sometimes our tribe, our group takes a stand against us and rejects us, and we feel a sense of betrayal and abandonment. But when we give priority to self-care, self-motivation and take self-responsibility, slowly our energies detach from our families to the negative energies which are binding to our families or tribes. We detach from those energies and then we attach those energies to higher energies of awareness. In awareness, we follow new action plans and that bring strength, mental and emotional stamina in us. This is very important, and this brings us to a new state of consciousness called individual consciousness. How we bring ourselves in a state of peace and joy, aligning our thoughts with universal guiding principles, and how we stand, how we transcend, how we transmute, transform and balance the energies of conflict which are bringing the issues of betrayal, trust and loyalty in us is challenging for each of us. The issues of loyalty, trust and betrayal with our biological family, may it be our elders or our own children, they run very deep in our psyche. And they continue to haunt us for a long time after relationship gets over. Depending upon how deep they are, dealing with such issues of loyalty, trust and betrayal may involve years of processing and therapy. And if you are lucky, you can do it sooner. So when issues of trust, loyalty and betrayal surface, we say, I trusted him or her. I thought he will always be with me. Now I feel betrayed. I blindly believed him and I blindly supported him. Notice the word blindly. We are actually blind, meaning unconscious, when we lose our awareness and alertness to see the total picture in a blind trust. It is then we offer no protection to ourselves. We are running on autopilot, being guided by our nature and instincts. Depending upon the issue and its gravity, we feel sad. We feel depressed, angry, and sometimes even humiliated. Engulfed with deep sorrow, we grieve and we keep grieving. The energies of sorrow and grief are natural for the relationship which is either dying or it is dead and over. When slowly we are in the middle of this dying relationship, we feel its loss in anticipation. The feelings of sorrow and grief lie on our hearts, and it affects the movement of our hearts. If we carry such feelings for a long time, then we may suffer from heart or lung diseases. Our immune system gets affected. Even if we want to, we cannot forgive and forget, though we want to. It is to be recognized that issues with our biological families run deep. They may originate either from this life or from our past lives. It is important that we bring such issues to our conscious awareness and deal with them. It is very important to forgive and forget so we can move forward in our lives. But sometimes it is not easy to forgive and forget. And that's the idea of this talk. Unconscious cause and effect. Let's see what it is and how we are operating from unconscious cause and effect. Initially, when the seeds of conflicts were planted, we were unconscious. They could have been planted either in our current or previous incarnations. In unconsciousness, we were not aware of either our own nature or the nature of the other parties or family members involved, with whom we are having conflict at this time. Even now, the unconsciousness remains. We remain being guided by immediate cause and effect. We look at a situation from our angle and react. How we react arises from our repeated mind patterns of thinking. Our actions and reactions become impulsive. If he or she does that, we do this. Then he or she does something else, then we again react. So we are in the constant upheaval of action and reactions. We don't pause to take time to think. From our angle, we are right. If we are operating from a mental pattern of anger and shouting, this is what we continue to do. Due to past conditioned beliefs, we continue to behave in a certain way. Some people continue to feel suppressed. They never stand on their own or for their rights. So depression comes in because you are continuously suppressing your stand. This is the reaction you have learnt. It's better not to say anything. Let me be quiet. Even if there is an anger or irritation is boiling inside. Most of the times we do not think or feel. We just act and react. Most times there is no contemplation or reflection. We react impulsively. We follow no intuition, no higher guidance. But this goes on for a long time. Sometimes years, sometimes even lifetimes. So what happens? Based on the seeds we have sown, a small plant starts growing. Through situation, we revisit our past not once but many a times. When and how? Same situation in one form or the other form keeps repeating, asking for our attention. Every time universe is giving us an opportunity to reform, learn and correct our mistakes. But we fail to see it. Again due to unconsciousness. We keep sleeping and not wake up. Sometimes the issue becomes bigger because we continue to act in similar ways. And we do not listen to our inner guidance. We do not respond to a situation. We are not learning our lesson. If something has worked for us in the past, we continue to use the strategy way past the situation is changed. At times the situation also changes. It may change, it may happen. But you remain unconscious. In unconsciousness, you keep taking corrective actions, and sometimes both you and the other party make mutual compromise and agendas, and the peace is embraced. This happens in minor incidents or sometimes even in major situations when the peace returns with mutual compromise and agenda. But you remain unconscious. But most times situation doesn't change unless you become conscious and if the situation initially and still is grave. And we pay attention to our suffering with an aim to elevate ourselves from it. It is then universe is forcing you to pay attention. Every now and then, benevolent universe keeps drawing our attention. And finally, at some point, you feel something is not right. Past situation demands our attention and we feel perhaps a mistake has been made. Sometimes our pain and suffering has escalated and has become so intense that we cannot ignore it anymore. Even then, our usual reactions will be blaming. Our usual reaction would be to blame the other party, and it is natural. If we blame the other party, we are suppressing the issues once again. Temporarily, the issue may go away and we may feel a sense of relief, but in reality, the issue remains suppressed in our subconscious mind. This issue is ready to pop up on a next trigger, and it does exactly that. When we continue to remain in the mode of blaming, judgment. Along with the blaming, we start judging the other party. We may say, Oh, he or she was always like that. He behaved like that even before. This has been a part of his character and so on. So in judging, we are shifting the blame and shrugging, taking self-responsibility. So when the situation comes into our active awareness, we put the blame and we judge the other party. Sometimes we can't do these two, then we start feeling like a victim and say, how could he or she do this to me? I was nice to him. I did a lot for him. On so and so occasion I stood by him. And at that time I felt alienated from others, but I took his side. I was helping him, and so on. From our sleeves we pull out 1,000 excuses in order to enforce our feelings of being a victim. A victim who has been mistreated, not only by the other party concerned, by life itself. Victim consciousness takes us down in a downward spiral. And if we are not conscious of it, in time we lose our self-confidence and self-respect. Sometimes we carry the guilt and we say, oh, it shouldn't have happened. Perhaps I could have acted in a different way. So in guilt, what happens? We blame ourselves. In blaming, we blame the other party, and in judging also we judge the other party, but in guilt we blame ourselves. We carry the perception, it was my fault. Guilt would enhance the feelings of regret and repentance. If only I could have acted in a different way. If only I could have been more tolerant. If or only I could have avoided that situation. So carrying the feelings of guilt, blame, regret, repentance create blockages in our lower chakras. And we suffer from negative feelings. These negative feelings, they can bring sickness and physical diseases in us. Then we come under the effect of ego. Because the unprocessed issue keeps lying in our subconscious mind, the situation comes back to shake us. The reason being, the energy beneath is not balanced. Universe is forever trying to balance these energies. Similar situations revisit, demanding our attention, but then ego comes in, unless we recognize ego. Ego separates us from our inner self. It does not allow us to look within. It keeps our attention outside. Ego takes delight in keeping us entangled in the past and not seek any solution or resolution. Let's see how ego keeps us separated from our higher self by taking some examples. Ego says he is jealous of me. He can't see my success. Ego is competing. He is the one who started the arguments. We are blaming. His nature was always like that. He or she deserves now what he is getting. That's judgment. I was right in behaving the way I did. Self-righteousness. How could he do this to me? We are in victimhood. I trusted him. Issues of trust. I had faith on him. Issues of faith. I could have avoided if I behaved in a different way. That is guilt. Now I feel angry, humiliated, and sad. These are negative emotions. I'm too proud to go and apologize. It was not my fault at all. This is pride. When we speak in pride, then it is definitely ego underneath. In self-knowledge, we become humble. Sometimes we regret and say, I'm regretting it happened. Then regret and repentance is coming forth. We may harbor one or more of such feelings. Whatever the situation is, ego keeps us trapped in negative feelings. It keeps us separated from our higher self. It does not allow us to realize, act in the present and move forward. So ego keeps us entangled in the past where we keep on listening, talking to what happened without focusing on solutions. Because if we focus on the solution, then it's the end of ego, and ego wants to survive at any cost. And this drama keeps on happening, sometime for months, sometime for years, and sometimes even from lifetime to lifetime. When tribe takes a stand against another tribe, even the future generations, they live in the mode of conflict and sometimes even war. When does the realization come? At some point when a similar situation comes again, we realize perhaps a mistake has been made. We have now realized the futility of blame, judgment, victimhood and guilt. And we realize and say, I'm suffering and this suffering has to end in one way or the other. The other party involved is not changing, then I have to do something. This realization is very powerful. It may be the first and a small step, but it is a huge step towards our growth. Out of love and compassion for ourselves, we think. And then we start to plan and start to take some physical actions to relieve ourselves of our suffering. This is the beginning of self-effort. When we feel at a loss what to do, where to start, and we start looking for various options. One of the biggest guidance we can receive is the guidance from our higher self. Let us discuss some of the options we can take when this realization kicks in. Although with your creativity, the options open to you may be endless. So we can verbally speak to our higher self and ask for its guidance. Then we can use our imagination and watch our issues flying away with imaginary golden birds and balloons. We set them off. In addition to our personal effort, we can actively and consciously surrender and let go the issues to our higher self. We feel we have done enough blaming and remaining in guilt, and now we surrender our issues. What we can do, we can write our issues again and again, keep it in front of our chosen idol. After surrender, we can either burn the paper or we can tear it and throw in the running stream of water. And we do it again and again. As this issue comes up, we do take the negative emotions out from our system. So we can choose surrender and let go like this in any other manner or this manner that appeals to you, but do it consciously. Conscious surrender to our higher self provides a relief and release. And you rest in peace and trust because now the higher authority has stepped in. Our higher self knows what is best for us at the moment. When we hand the matter over to our higher self, it decides what is important for us and learn and experience and grow at that time. Sometimes higher self requires us to choose the path of no action, peace, keep enduring, but we endure, remain peaceful for that length of time while building our skills somewhere else. This is not a small step. We start acquiring powers when we make the self-effort. Let's see what powers we acquire. Power of responsibility. Whether or not it was our mistake, we take responsibility to clear our energies, to reduce our suffering. We take appropriate action. We change our behavior and we make an attempt to move on. With power of responsibility comes another huge power. That is power to face. We face our mistakes. And we do not allow making mistakes our habit. If we ignore our mistakes, then making the similar mistakes becomes our habit. And it comes into our reactions. In facing our buried thoughts, emotions and situations, a lot of issues unearth. When they come up to the surface, we face them. When these issues they come up into our conscious awareness, we face them. And when we face, the power of facing comes. And also other powers underneath, which are powers of courage and determination. We also develop another power, which is power of commitment and endurance. When we take self-responsibility, we commit ourselves, however the deep issues may be, we remain committed to our goal of bringing peace and joy to our minds and body. We apply power of endurance. We trust in our abilities to endure. However unpleasant and difficult a situation may be, we remain determined. We endure without giving away. Because the goal remains clear in our mind. We do not fall under egoic attractions either and its pitfalls. Dealing with certain issues can be challenging, but we remain committed to our goal of bringing peace and joy to us. With self-effort, another great power comes in, which is power of humility. Ego takes us into the journey of pride, a false pride. But in self-responsibility, we bow down and surrender to our higher self. We ask for its assistance to relieve our pain and suffering. We put our pride aside and we become willing to detach from our limited beliefs, ideas, and concepts. Because many a times in that situation, we are also holding on to our beliefs. That's the way situation should be. Our ideas and concepts. Everyone should listen to what I am saying. This is my idea. This is how the life has to be led. So we become very limited. But in humility, we ask ourselves, what is more important? Do I remain stuck in my past and negative emotions? Or do I actively seek freedom? Freedom from my current mental and emotional states. We become humble. So, lot of information has been given in this talk. Please listen to it and recognize its working within, because that is what is going to bring you power. This is the end of part 1 of 2-part series on dealing issues of loyalty, trust and betrayal. We will continue from where we left off in our next talk. Till we meet again, lots of love and light to you.